Hi y'all, it's your girl Big Sis CE here, and today we're going to talk about how to prepare for the FE exam. So everyone knows that when studying for this exam, you need a good structured approach, you need careful planning, you need dedication. However, I didn't really do that. For me, I studied whenever I was available. I only studied for 16 hours. In this video, I will share how I studied and passed the FE exam, and maybe some tips that will help you that I wish I learned sooner before I took the exam, but it's okay, I still passed, doesn't matter. But why do you need the FE exam? You need the FE exam for one, higher pay. Just kidding. The importance of the FE exam is so that you can soon become a registered engineer in your jurisdiction. Don't forget about the higher pay. Anywho, here are some steps to take when studying for your exam. Number one, are you eligible? At least for my university, you are qualified to take the FE as long as you're still in school, you're studying civil engineering, and you pretty much nailed most of the topics because that's basically how you pass. Because if you take it too soon, you're going to see some topics that you've never even reached before. Therefore, I recommend taking it in your senior year. That way you at least have a touch on all the fields, especially with greater subjects in transportation, surveying, and all those other subjects. Number two, understand your format. Nowadays, our exams are in CBT, which is computer-based testing. This test is a multiple choice exam, and it consists of 120 questions. How long do you take for it? 6 hours, and you have a 25-minute break. Do not skip your break. You're gonna lose sanity within the first 3 hours, I swear. At least when I took the test, man, I felt like I screwed up with overall test taking in general. I had to use my break to figure out my new strategy, and by the time I went back in the test room, took my last 3 hours, I was able to check my work. Even though the first 3 hours I wasn't able because I was not using the right test taking skills at all. So it doesn't matter if you know your stuff. If you don't know how to test take, ooh, good luck. And then of course, make sure that you review the NCES, National Council of Examiners for Engineering and Surveying, guidelines for any specific data you need, any fees you need to pay, what to expect in the test room, what to bring, what not to bring, etc. Number three, collect your study materials. Look at this bad boy here. This is my FE reference handbook that I received complimentary from registering the exam. Also, make sure that you take advantage of everything else besides the reference manual, such as practice problems, lessons, or even like textbooks and review courses. You'll need to refresh your memory, especially if you're taking it after you graduated, because all the information pretty much retains while you're still in school. Everything's still fresh in your memory. So that's why I always emphasize try to take it as long as you can afford it as early as possible so you can get your way through your career ladder. One of these items is review courses. One of my goals for this channel is to also touch some subjects towards the FE exam that we could probably go over together, that we can review together, because at the same time I'm focusing on taking my PE pretty soon on water resource and environmental engineering, so good luck to both of us. Number four, create a study plan. I didn't create a study plan. I don't recommend doing what I did at all. It just worked for me. But the day before the exam, I took the day off so I could study for this exam. Just going through my practice problems took the whole day, and I didn't even finish yet. Want to know how I finished? I looked at the solutions really quickly and tried to understand how these problems were solved in certain ways, and to take a future note when I eventually take the exam and take note of how these problems are solved. But let's say you do the study plan. Let's make sure that you develop a study schedule on relevant topics, and then an emphasis on topics that you are not too sure of yourself. Also set some goals for yourself, and it'll be nice to have a reward every time you achieve that. At the same time, stick to your schedule and monitor your process. Make sure that you take note of topics that you didn't quite get during your study sessions and you may need to review back or find some kind of help for you to understand the subject more, how to solve problems. I am guilty, I am not sticking to my schedule, but I'll get there. Number 5, understand the exam specifications. I'll have a description down there somewhere. Trying to get the latest NCES requirements when taking the FE exam. Number 6, always do your practice problems. You'll never know what kind of problem you'll encounter in the FE, so it's best to redo old exam problems. Try to actually purchase the FE practice problems, and that's because it's the closest I could get to a simulation of the test. And then once you're done finishing a problem, make sure that you review your solution carefully, make sure it's correct, understand the underlying concept on why we solve these problems this way. Number 7, study the reference. My number 1 tip, don't take too much time studying this. Use it to review like any subject that you feel that you're weak in. Like, let's say for example, it's geotech, it's water resource, it's structural. But overall, this is gonna be in the exam anyways. It's gonna be in the computer, it's searchable, you just gotta control F it and find whatever you need to find. You just need to know what formulas are in there. But yes, this is what we're talking about, the FE reference handbook. Yes, there are so many topics, so many formulas in here for different types of discipline. However, I don't recommend studying the whole thing. Just know where it is, just know what's there, because you're gonna control F it anyway in the test. Number 8, have study groups and attend review courses. I know some of y'all are probably introverts, you don't want to join people, you'd rather probably just spend money on review courses, but at the same time you might be broke because you're a college student. I know I was. But there is value in getting different opinions. I would say it was definitely valuable during taking classes so that you could have an understanding of group study, and then when you actually have your study groups, you have a more solid understanding of how to solve certain problems and pretty much get a solid ground on the problems that are pretty hard to get nowadays. Number 9, stay healthy and rested. Did I even sleep? I think I slept a good 8 hours. That's what my professor told me to sleep. It's always good to have your rest. Make sure you're not stressed for the exam because you're gonna be stressed during the exam anyway. So just keep your mind at a stable state. Some positive affirmations for yourself will help gratefully. Just believe in yourself. Number 10, try pacing. It's best to simulate what it's like in the FE exam because that way you know what it's like to be within those closed doors, probably no fresh air, and pretty much stuck in a room for 3 hours, 25-minute break time, and another 3 hours. So you might as well get accustomed to the testing environment. Overall, just have good test skills. Number 11, as your exam date comes soon, make sure to review all the subjects that you may have been struggling in and just review everything all in general. Make sure that you're confident in what you studied and that you are confident to take this test. Side note, although I did say it took me 16 hours to study for this exam and pass it, I do recommend a minimum of 3 months for anyone in general, just so that you have that leverage, that confidence to take the test. Because for me, my confidence was out the window. Number 12, let's talk about the day of the exam. Make sure that you prepare for this exam. Make sure you arrive to the test center early. Do not leave the house without your ID and documents. Most of all, stay calm, collected, and trust that you prepared well for this exam. Now, number 13, this is what happens during the exam. This is what not to do. Do not waste your time going through all the problems first, flagging what is the hardest versus what's the easiest. Make sure you go one straight line. Give yourself maybe a good 1 to 3 minutes on a problem that you may struggle with. If you're taking a little longer, just flag it and go back. The reason why I regretted going through every problem before attacking them first is because it wasted so much of my time, and in that first half I wasn't even able to check my work. I remember going into break and then I was pretty much having an anxiety attack because I didn't know how I was going to recover from that first session. So I told myself what went wrong. And what went wrong is that I didn't even start with tackling problems in the first few minutes of the test. Instead, I wasted maybe a good 8 minutes just to look through every problem that was in my section. And no, don't do that. You're wasting time. Before we get into number 14, I totally forgot. My professor told me that after the exam, you should have someone pick you up because your brain is gonna be fried. For me, I drove to the exam. I took the exam and I finished it. I was okay to drive, but man, it was like driving was an autopilot thing for me. I wasn't even there. So yes, if you can, have someone drop you and pick you up from the testing center. But yes, number 14, post-exam. Finally, when you're done with the exam, you have all the reason to celebrate that you finally passed it, that your brain is melting, and you just have to wait a few more weeks until you get the results for your exam. And eventually, once you pass the exam, you'll know that your studying efforts was worth it in the end. Then it's time to party! Well, that's it, ladies and gentlemen, for this video. Those are my FE tips on how to prepare and pass for the exam. I hope I was able to provide some helpful tips for you that you have never heard of, and I'll see you in the next video. Bye!